Greetings, dear one. So beautiful to be at the lake, on the ice, and you hear noises of the ice cracking and moving. Really cool. My topic, how to train your mind. One of my little granddaughters, Loie, she likes how to train your dragon. And she had this really great costume she was wearing, the dragon trainer. Well, that's cool. So if we bring it right to ourselves, how do we train our own mind? Most of us are trying to train someone else, and we take a training. And a train is a vehicle that's moving you from one point to another. And that's what a trainer is, too. You could have a lion trainer. But to be able to train your own mind is really one of the most important things anybody could do, because otherwise your mind is training you. And how you train your mind is, first you have to know that you're not a mind, you have a mind. And you might say, what about divine mind or spiritual mind? Well, that's a consciousness. We call it mind, but it really isn't a mind. It's a consciousness, it's a state of being, and that is high knowing. Yes. So if you were going to have a thought, you'd have a high thought that inspires you, and it brings you into a great attitude, you see, of enthusiasm. So those are all steps to get you to a state of constantly or continuously being the observer, the witness, the being, the person, who you are. So to train your mind, you have to know how your mind's operating and what's it doing and what is it. Watch your mind. Notice your thoughts. And notice where those thoughts are coming from. Or the old dialogue, or you're going to make up new dialogue, what you're going to say, how you're going to behave. You're going to practice how you do this. When I used to do my church in San Diego in the television ministry, there would be people who would study my behavior, and then they would include that in their NLP thing so that they could then be imitating me somehow. It was like, really? Why don't you be natural? Why don't you be who you are? And you don't have to rehearse to be who you are. It's natural. You don't have to rehearse any of it, because when you're fully now in the moment, you're always spontaneous and you're not predictable. And the mind is predictable. So it's not who you are. If you can observe the mind and you can observe a thought, you're not your thoughts. No. Almost sounded like a bear behind me, but it wasn't. It's that water. It's really cool. It makes these noises. It's just exciting. So when you train your mind, you train it to be quiet. And when it starts in, and it's going to take you down some road you do not want to go down, you say, stop. And then notice, where'd you get that? And if you really get expert at this, you then start digging and you find those concepts and those thoughts that have been programmed in, part of the hypnotic trance the world is in, to be unconscious, to be living from their unconscious, controlling them because they're not conscious of what's in the unconscious. And when you call forth that which is in the unconscious to be revealed to you, then be aware and alert, and you will notice how your emotions change, what changed that, and your thoughts, how it could take you down one road and you're building a scenario of that, and you're getting into the emotion and the feeling of it, and you feel bad, and yet you send out an energy. Other people want them to feel bad or feel good. See, this is the mind. Watch it. Then you start to notice the minds of others. So why would you ever be bothered by what's in somebody's mind? as if it's true and real. That's that ice. That's really interesting. So how you train your mind is you first of all have to get an experience also of yourself beyond the mind. I'm not the mind, I have a mind. And I'm not this body, I have a body. And I have a divine body as who I am. It's an eternal divine body. That those who do not have that body don't even understand about it or know what that is, and we are eternal. Yes. So when those thoughts start to come of fear and lack and all of these thoughts, and you start building the scenario in the movie and then identify with people in movies and all of this is what are these beliefs that are like a computer program running underneath everything and affecting everything else, all to direct your energy to the mind and those thoughts and those beliefs. And then you get people trying to create things like conflict, wars, loss, all of these things they try and create is to try and get everybody's focused on the same thing, or you have two groups. One are focused on this, the other focused on that, so we're going to fight in there. But you don't realize you're being used. You're being used. So most people, they're just being used all the time. And then the people that they hang around with, they're all being used as well. And they're really not in charge because their mind is being controlled by someone else. You want to step out of the crowd. Step out of the games. And then get into your meditation. Breathe. Instead of reacting to everybody and everything, just breathe. Maybe, it'd be really good to take to go on a retreat. That's why I do retreats. They're great. Or, you can go a place where it's a silent retreat for a little bit. I mean, you can do all these things. Go give them to yourself. You're an eternal being. And you have your support, your God presence, your divine, our source that we all have in common. And yet we're all unique and different. And I want to tell you a story. When you control how unlimited we are, beyond any concept. Oh, I dropped the paper. I'll get it. And I have this in one of my books, Prospering Choices. And it's about that there were these birds flying, and there's a hunter that had scattered some seed on the ground and hidden the bushes in hopes that he would capture some birds. So as they're flying around, the main senior bird says, grains don't fall naturally in a place like that, so you need to be careful because this is probably a trap. But anyhow, the birds, they were hungry and they wanted anything. Oh, you don't know anything. So they went down and they started eating the grains, and then the hunter threw out the net and captured the birds under the net. Then they had to know, oh my gosh, what do we do? Well, even the senior advisor was there, had gotten trapped with everybody else, went along with it, and there they are under the net. So what the senior bird says, okay, let's all fly together. And as they did that, as the hunter was coming, they all lifted up together with the net that was over them, and they were able to fly to a place where they could catch the net on a tree as they then let down, and there they were, free of the net. And what I've but just had this sense of realization, when we all control the mind and realize that we've been controlled through the mind, through thoughts, beliefs, concepts, values, rules, regulations, all of this, whether it's been any psychopathic religion, because see, don't throw everything out. Just like the Jesus that I always had known was actually Yeshua, who was more of an Essene teacher. Yeah. of love and harmony and vegetarianism. No killing. That's the basic eternal agreement. And the mind, then people wanting us to kill, people going in training in armed forces so as to kill other people, and then all the stuff of the killing of the animals. And what happens is we've been participating in that, and so what's coming out and in people's lives is a result of all of that. And to know also that when you train your mind, that's the mind is memory, and that can evoke so many things that are working with us, and agreements and contracts that we've made, and it's important for us to break those contracts and agreements in our hearts of ancient ways of abusing ourselves and others. It's not like a, what may I say? When you're controlling, training the mind, you train it to be quiet, and you notice that you're no longer allowing it to control you, because you're living from your center, from who you are. That's it. That's what we've got. That's who we are. And you're eternal, and you can't die. And you were never born. You were never created. Bodies are created. We're creators. You have to know the distinction. And then as you know that distinction, and then what we do is, what may I say? Yeah, center in our heart and be who you are.